Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. So let's have another look at this or today's auction. Now, as you can see, there's only 3 tanks left because one tank was sold out within hours. It was sold out very quickly, and of course that was the Annihilator. At 13,000 gold, it was sold out very quickly. The remaining tanks are not quite sold out, and whether they sell out or not, I really don't know, but some of them are well, all 3 of them are, you know, I probably wouldn't. So far this one, you have the tier 10, which is the T95 E6 at 15,000 gold. Now that's actually a pretty solid price. The tank's okay when played correctly. I don't think the tank is bad at all, and to be fair, for 15,000 gold, you know, that is still a very good price for a decent tank. Of course, the price just does drop by the time the video is released. It may have dropped, and to be fair, I can probably see it dropping a little bit more. I don't think it is going to sell out by the time that this video is released. So if it does drop, then yeah, definitely it may be worth buying. Next up, you have the Chrysler K. Now the Chrysler K, when it was first introduced to the game, I think people had high hopes for the Chrysler, mainly because of the What PC days. It caused a massive stir with Sir Foch, and Wargaming tried to sort of get him banned, or they tried to sort of copyright him. They tried to strike him, and it caused an uproar in What PC. And then obviously it was then introduced to Blitz. People thought it was going to be this crazy OP tank, but it was far from that. Now it's a decent tank. It's like the front plate, the armor is quite decent, but nowadays that was when it was first introduced to the game. It was all right. Now you never really see it, to be fair. It's not a tank you see often, and it's not a tank everyone wants to get their hands on. So I don't think this, I mean, it's still 1185 left at this point. It's definitely going to drop. Whether or not it's going to sell out, I really don't know. And then of course you have the Panzer 58 Mutt. It's the same thing, you know. It's not an OP tank. It's not a brilliant tank. It's okay at best. For 7,500, probably not. I wouldn't pay for it. If it drops any lower than 7,000, maybe, but it's definitely not a tank that I really would want to get my hands on. Now, so far this auction, there's been some good tanks. There has been some pretty good tanks at some pretty decent prices. The Super Persian there dropped to 3,750. The Progetto 46, which is brilliant, dropped to 5,000 gold, which is incredible. The IS-3 Defender, which was once upon a time the tank that people wanted the most, and you would never be able to get this tank back in the day for less than 20,000 gold. That sold for 5,625 gold. The WZ-114, 5,000 gold. I believe these dropped at these prices. I think I am actually wrong, to be fair. I think the price is still dropping. Like, there's no way you'd get the 121B for 5,000 gold. So I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm not entirely sure. Like, correct me if I am wrong, because some of these tanks, I haven't really looked at the auction, to be fair, and some of these tanks I'm like, nah, really? It dropped to that price? I don't know, to be fair. It could have. So yeah, if that is the case, I mean, a Badger for 11,250 gold, crazy. A 121B for just 7,500 gold, crazy. The Action X for 5,600, absolutely crazy. But you know, there's been some very good tanks. Very good tanks in the auction so far. This time round, yeah, the Annihilator is pretty good. And then of course, starting in 18 hours, we are gonna have 4 more tanks. So you know what, let's have a look at what tanks are coming next. So as you can see, I know these I had a little bit of a disagreement with Wargaming, because we asked for a list before they were released. They'd only give us if we made a video. We had to make a video, and you know, sometimes we wanted to see the list and make up our own mind. You know, okay, yeah, maybe we'll make a video. So we never got given the list, and then there was this list that appeared anyway, and then Wargaming pretty much said to me, yeah, well, that leaks. Well, I'm not being funny, this list so far is pretty accurate, to be fair. So the last 4 tanks, as we know, the T95 E6, the Chrysler K, the Panzer 58, and the Annihilator. So, you know, every single tank so far has been dead on accurate. So what tanks are coming next, and you know, are they going to be good tanks, are they going to be bad tanks? To be fair, there's not a tier 10. There is a K91, the Boras, KV5, and the LT432. So the next tanks on the list, nothing special. I mean, the Boras, if you can get that cheap, that is a pretty solid tank, but the rest of them, to be fair, the KV5, yeah, in the right hand can be good, but nothing exciting for the next bunch of tanks. So let's move on. Then of course you actually have a few very, very good tanks. So the VK90, the next tier 10, if you can get that cheaper than 15,000 gold, then that is a very, very good buy. The M6A2E1 EXP, not a tank you see regularly, but again, it's got very good pen, very good frontal armor, but again, it's not really a tank you see often. So if you could pick that up for 5k gold, then yeah, that would again be a bargain. The same goes with the Defender Mark 1, actually one of the best defenders in the game. I think it is a very, very solid tank. And the Elephant, which is a brilliant tank. So if you can pick up any of them tanks for cheap, then any of them really, apart from the EXP, I would say, any of the other 3 are definitely worth having if you can pick them up cheaper. So moving on from that, of course, you then have a couple of good tanks, the Camp Panzer 70, which is actually a very, very good tier 9, and the WZ-121GFT, which was once upon a time the most OP tier 8 tank in the game. Wargaming knew it was OP, so they would never, ever sell it for gold. You could only ever get it in crates. So if you could pick up that tank for fairly cheap, then what a bargain that would be. The other 2 tanks, Panther 8.8 Titan, yeah, there's no point even having them in your garage. Then moving on, you have, I would say, one decent tank here, of course, the Super Conqueror. If you could pick that up for 15,000 gold again, or even cheaper, then what a bargain that would be. The Super Conqueror is again, a fantastic tank in the right hands. Moving along, the Object 752, once considered, and some even consider it still one of the best tier 9s in the game. Auto loader, very, very strong tank. And again, if you could pick that up for less than 10,000 gold, then I would definitely recommend getting that. Other than that, the Kanonen Jagdpanzer, very good tank. It's got a good gun, but it's quite a tricky tank to play. No armor, and you can get wrecked if you don't play it wrong. The AMX 30, yeah, most of these 4 are probably maybe wouldn't recommend. The same as the next 4 as well. You got the M4 1D, which is actually a very fun tank. The Soul Eater, yeah, it's okay. And then the next tier 10, the AMX M454. You know, again, it was once considered a very, very good tank. Not many people play it nowadays, so not many people really talk about it, but it's still a solid tank. And again, if you can get that for cheap, then why not have it in your garage? Moving along, you have a couple of, you know, the Cobra is actually a very good tier 9 tank, looks fantastic, but other than that, nothing special. And then we head over to the next lot, the T22 medium, still a great tank. If you can get that below 15,000 gold, then that would be a bargain. And I still think the T22 is still a great tank, great DPM, great armor, and it can still cause issues on the battlefield. And then one of my favorite tanks, the Object 268 version 4, if you can pick that up, I would definitely recommend buying the Object 268 version 4. You know, these guys, I mean, yeah, the 5A, some may like, some may hate. I'm not a lover of the 5A, if I'm honest. So, you know, I'll probably I wouldn't recommend any of those. The same as the next 4 tanks, probably wouldn't recommend any of those. Some are good, but when it comes to auction and you want to grab yourself a bargain, there's better tanks to wait for. There is definitely better tanks to wait for. The Object 97, if you're going to buy the T22, maybe it's probably not worth buying the Object 907. Again, the next lot, out of them, I would go for the Shark, the T54E2. If you can get that for 5k gold, then brilliant tier 8 tank, fantastic tier 8 tank. And then, of course, this tank here, I think it's going to sell out within minutes. The Smasher, we're looking at the Smasher. How quick is that tank going to sell out? Now, if the Annihilator sells out within hours, I think the Smasher is going to sell out within minutes. It really, really is. So keep an eye on that. You know, it's coming soon. And at least with a list like this, if you want the Smasher, you know exactly, as soon as these 4 tanks come, the Enriched Concept, the Jag Tiger, etc., as soon as they come, you know that the next lot of tanks are coming. So might have to wait up for that, wait for them to come, and then get the Smasher as soon as you possibly can. Another tank to look out for, the STRVK. I think it's a very good tank in the right hands. In the wrong hands, it can be looked at kind of an average tank, but in the right hands, not much armor, turret's okay, got good DPM, good speed, and I actually really like the STRVK. The next lot, again, the Hellsin years ago would sell out really quick. The Object 260 is not a fantastic tier 10 tank. So yeah, I would probably miss out on those tanks. Yeah, these tanks as well. The Lorraine 50T is okay. The Centurion 5.1 is not a bad tank, but I would again wait for the next lot because it does have the Object 7772, which again is a brilliant tank. And then really sort of down the list, the Dracula is a tank you definitely want to look out for. What else have we got? The Caro 45T, another tank, and of course the final, we've already spoken about it, the XM666 excuse me, XM666F is definitely a tank to look out for. So looking at the list, at least you guys can know what's next. You know, you see the 4 tanks, and then Wargaming announced like, oh, there's hidden tanks, but you know exactly what is coming next, and at least you know when to wait for it. If there is a certain tank you want, like the Dracula or the Hellsin, at least you know when it is coming, and you can pick it up very, very quickly. So what tank are you going to be waiting for in this year's auction? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.